Indoor cricket is the next big thing. And if you're trying to play it the same way you play cricket outdoors, you're doing it wrong. So that's why today I've come up with a batting guide that covers everything you need to know, starting off with the equipment, your batting technique, a game plan, and what mental changes you need to make, along with the secret of batting in indoor cricket that makes it completely different than playing outdoors. So without any further ado, let's get started. I am Left Field Cricket and this video is shot at Powerplay. Powerplay is Tampa's top indoor cricket facility with bowling machines that go up to 160 kilometers per hour, 3 batting nets, and a full indoor cricket turf. On top of this, they have a fully stocked cricket store and expert coaching. So if you're in the Tampa Bay region, please come and check it out. And now let's get back to the video. First, I'm going to cover the equipment you need because the right equipment sets you up for success. So which bat should you use? I have a very simple rule. Use the lightest bat that you can. And here's what I mean by that. Most people use their normal bats. This is my leather ball bat. I love it, but it's really heavy. And it's heavy because it has to hit a leather ball and hit it 70 meters. Now, I don't know where exactly you're playing indoor cricket, but I know it's smaller than outdoors. And you're going to be using a tennis ball, tape ball, or some sort of lighter ball. And because of that, you should use the lightest bat that can hit that ball because that'll give you the most control and the fastest bat swing. So this means you get the same amount of power and you can deal with swing, spin, whatever's going on in your specific case. I like to use this sort of bat, one that's hollow behind, because this gives me the same size. And in fact, if you see, this bat is actually longer than normal bats. The second thing is gloves are non-negotiable because they give you more grip and more control, no matter how good your bat is. So I like to wear these baseball gloves. You can also use normal batting gloves. And more recently, they've come up with these indoor batting gloves that still have some padding, but is lighter because obviously the ball is not as hard. So once you have your equipment sorted, we can move on to the technique. First, now I know some leagues don't have LBW, so you might think we should cover the stumps, but that's not the case. I want you to start with your guard on leg stump, maybe even a little outside. And then after that, you don't want to stay completely side on, you want to open up slightly. And here's why. Since you can only hit the ball straight, a good bowler will try and target the stumps and your legs to ensure that you cannot hit the ball straight. If you're fully side on and on middle stump, right, a ball's coming here, you can only hit that ball to the side. You're not going to be able to move out of the way quick enough to hit this consistently. But if instead you set up slightly open and outside leg stump, right, if they still bowl on your legs, that's a wide. And if they try and aim for leg stump, your leg is already open, so you'll be able to get your bat through for a clean and consistent hit straight down the ground. So what you can see here is you're not changing your actual batting technique, you're just changing your setup. Now while you're doing this, make sure that your lower body is open, but your upper body stays side on. This is just good cricket. And then the second technical change actually has to do with your grip and your back lift. Hold the bat from the top. You don't need that much power. The biggest indoor cricket field I've seen is maybe 50 meters. You can clear that on a tennis or a tape ball as long as you have a quick bat swing, which this will allow you to do. And then also make sure that your back lift does not go as high as it does in normal cricket. You don't need to hit the ball 80 meters. You just need to hit it straight and as fast as possible. So you make these changes, right? Slightly more open stance, slightly lower back lift and grip. You'll notice it's a lot easier for you to play straight without trying to think about it. Now, I told you what changes you should make. Here are some technical things that usually apply to normal cricket that you should continue doing here and you should not change these. And these are very simple. You want to try and play with a straight bat as much as possible. You want to play as late as possible, and you want to try playing in the V. And here's the reasons for these. First off, playing in the V, the boundary is straight. That's where you want to hit the ball. Playing late, there's a ceiling, right? So the later you play the ball, the lower it will go. And if you try and play an aerial shot as late as possible, usually you'll get that kind of skimming effect where it just kind of skims the top wall and then goes for a 6. And then the last one, playing with a straight bat. There's actually 2 reasons for this. The first is, most of the time, the balls that you use, tape balls and these sorts of balls, they kind of skid, right? So if you play with a straight bat, you'll never get out from the bounce or from slight mistiming. And then the other thing, a lot of places have this rule where if it hits the top wall, right, you're not going to be out caught. And with that, I even like playing balls that are slightly shorter, like good length and hard length, with a straight bat if possible. Because here's the thing, you don't do this in normal cricket because if you play with a straight bat to a ball that's back of length, the ball will only go like as far as the 30-yard circle or maybe a little over, right? Well, that's how big the field is here. And on top of that, the ball, if you hit it high, it'll hit the top wall. So you have very low chance of getting out. So I know sometimes you feel you might have to play these cross-bat weird shots to try and keep the ball low. Don't do that. The way you keep the ball low is by playing late. And if you do these 3 things, which are usually there in normal cricket, right? Straight bat, in the V, late timing, you're going to be able to maintain your original batting technique with a few changes to your setup. And I think that is the balance you need to go for. Now I'm going to talk about the secret to being a good batsman in indoor cricket. And it has almost nothing to do with technique. And the secret is, it's not just boundaries and sixes, because believe me, it can be very hard to hit those. The secret is good running. In normal cricket, about 80% of your focus is on hitting the ball with good contact, and then 20% is on running, right? Well, here's the thing. That is because you need to hit the ball well in normal cricket to get boundaries and score runs. In this, the most important thing is making contact and making decent contact. And you can do that with about 50 to 60% of your brain power. You need to focus on running because the boundary might be close, but it's hard to hit it. You only have about maybe 10, 15 degrees of boundary, and then there's the top wall as well, which stops the ball, right? So sure, I can hit it very easily, but it's also very easy to stop it. That would be stopped by a fielder, right? So the most important skill when it comes to indoor cricket is good running. So let's talk about the running here, because it's more complicated than you think. The easiest way to tell between an average and a great indoor player is how good their running is. The first thing is you have to be attentive. And I'm not just saying this for fun. You need to be focused as the non-striker and the batsman, and you need to be ready to run every ball. In fact, if the batsman even hits the ball, whether it's good contact or to the side, you need to run, because it's very hard as a fielder to try and judge the ball when you're that close. If someone's standing right here, this is 5 meters away from the batsman. It's very hard to catch that ball first. And then secondly, it's very hard to judge how it's going to bounce off these walls or the ceiling. So if the batsman touches it, you're going to be able to run, especially in places where the non-striker starts out in the halfway mark. Then if the batsman misses the ball, it's on the non-striker to stay attentive and see if the keeper drops the ball. And here's why. The keeper has maybe 1 or 2 meters behind the stumps, right? If someone's bowling really fast, or if the batsman is moving around trying to mess the bowler up, right? The keeper will most likely miss the ball, and then it's up to the non-striker to stay attentive. The batsman cannot play his shot and then turn around and look. If my weight is back here, I'm never going to be able to accelerate fast enough. So make sure the right person is making the call. If contact is made, it should be on the batsman. If the ball goes behind the wicket in any way, it should be the non-striker. And now here's how you make sure you run efficiently. As the non-striker, stay as far forward as possible while staying in. Don't get man-carded. And then the second you see the bowler releases the ball, take 1 step forward. And if he hits the ball, take 1 or 2 more as you're deciding to run or not. And then if he says yes, you're already 1/4 of the way there. And if he says no, I think about 3 steps, you can still just get back in 1 lunge. So these are the basics of running, which apply in normal cricket as well. But in indoor cricket, you need to stay extra attentive, because as I've said, I think 40 to 50% of your runs will come from good running and watching out for misfields as well. In such a short area, fielders often throw very hard, and it's very hard to collect as well. So be ready for that. Look out for those runs. Now I've given you all the tools you need to actually succeed. And here's what you're going to do when a bowler actually comes in front of you. Now, first off, at the start of the innings, if they're using a tape ball or one of these balls, it is going to swing, and it might even skid. So the way you deal with that is, like I said earlier, play with a straight bat and play late. If you do this, you'll be able to deal with swing, skid, whatever. And to get runs in this phase, if they bowl a bad ball, obviously you hit that. But if they do bowl a good ball, don't just keep defending. You can actually, on contact, perhaps turn the bat's face. Because it's a very light bat, you have enough control to do that safely. So you can hit it to the offside, maybe even to the leg side. And then usually the fielders are somewhere over there or maybe directly behind you. So you should be able to get a run if you and the non-striker are attentive. That's why running is so important. Now, as the ball starts getting older, this is my very simple game plan. I pretty much open up my stance as much as possible. I look to hit dead straight at the corner where the back wall and the ceiling meet. So that top corner. And here's why. If you're aiming straight, that gives you the highest chance of actually hitting the ball straight, because we're not perfect, right? My bat might be slightly angled to the side. It might go a little bit that way. And if I'm aiming straight, that might still go for a boundary. And then why at the top is because usually in most indoor forms, if it hits the ceiling, you can stay not out even if they catch it. So if I mistime it slightly, I'm trying to play late, but I play too early, it'll go up and you'll be safe, and you can comfortably get a run if it hits the ceiling. And 9 times out of 10, even if the ceiling's this low, you can get a run if it's going up. Now, let's talk about what the bowler might actually do to try and stop you. The most common technique and the best technique is when they try and aim for your legs and aim for leg stump. So if you do what I said, open up your stance like this and stay just outside leg stump, they'll either be forced to go for the stumps, in which case you get probably the easiest ball there is to hit, which is this one. And you just kind of power through it with the bat speed. Or if they still go for your legs, right, you just move across. Since you're outside leg stump, that's going to be a wide 9 times out of 10. This is like the opposite of leaving in normal cricket. You're leaving on the leg side. And then the other thing that they do, smart bowlers, is they'll suddenly switch to wide yorkers because you're outside leg stump, right? Now, remember I said when you open up, your back leg is still actually somewhere near leg stump. So this means you can always reach across, right? If you're fully side on from here, yeah, you can see I'm struggling to reach that. But if my back leg is like this, I'm open rather than just on the leg side, you can even reach that ball as far as the wide. And the last thing that a bowler can do is they'll start bowling short on the body. And here's how you deal with that. First off, now you can play with a cross bat. You don't have to play with a straight bat if it's that short, right? And then don't be afraid to hit it to the side, because most times there is runs on the side wall if you hit it directly. So commit fully to a cross bat shot. And then the only thing I'll say is, rather than trying to hit it up at a 45-degree angle, hit it flat, because that'll ensure that you don't accidentally get caught out. And then the other thing is, if it's on the offside, that's actually really easy to hit. You just kind of play a pull straight. And if it's on the body, sometimes once you're set enough, you can actually play the ball so late, even if it's right here, that you can kind of do that kind of shot. It doesn't look like that. I think I have an example of this in one of my videos. I'll pull it up if I can. But that is a very hard shot to hit. You're not going to hit it every time, but it is a good way to deal with this ball. So I think I've covered everything. The equipment, the technique, what kind of shots you're hitting, the mindset, even the secret and how you got to focus on taking runs. I think I've given you everything you need to become a better batsman in indoor cricket today. I hope you do give it a try. Come visit Powerplay if you're in the Tampa region, because they have a really nice indoor tournament here. And I always believe the best way to get better at cricket is to actually play matches. So come play.